sports radio legend.
Good evening, Southern California.
And earlier this summer, he had a 10-day contract here at 710 ESPN.
What do you think, Scott?
I'm feeling you.
I'm pulling for the Chargers this year, buddy, over the Rams. So
I can't have that conversation. I don't know who the Chargers are. I'm watching Hard Knocks. I don't know who that other team is. I see the varsity team. I don't know who the JV team is. I don't know who those guys are.
Welcome in to the Scott Kaplan Show now on 710 ESPN.
Scott Kaplan, this is 710 ESPN.
Scott Kaplan on 710 ESPN.
Weeknights 7 to 10 p.m.
Now here is Scott Kaplan.
Yo, what is going on tonight, everybody? We are taken to the airwaves live at 8:33 p.m., following up from my man Alan Sliwa and Laker postgame, yielding to LeBron and the Lakers, who lost earlier tonight 107-106 to Philadelphia. For those of you that are just getting with us, and if you weren't listening to the postgame show or if you didn't listen to the Laker game, I will tell you that this was a game with about 4 or 5 minutes left. I thought, okay, this game's long over. Lakers aren't going to go undefeated on this road trip. And then with about 2 minutes to go, they went on a crazy run and all of a sudden had the lead. And then in the just final seconds of the game, it was a game-winning shot by Philadelphia. Tobias Harris with just a beautiful shot over Alex Caruso, who was really, really close on top of him. I mean, it looked like excellent defense, but Tobias Harris had that ball. You knew he was taking it. He scored. I mean, just a big old rainbow shot. And Philadelphia, who was in control of this game, most of this game. In fact, there really wasn't a part of the game where I thought the Lakers were going to win, but they had a shot late. And if they would have won, they would have stolen it. They lost. And so, look, it's one of these times where, as a Laker fan, you got to ask yourself, like, do I want to get crazy about a loss? Does it really, really matter? I mean, talking about one of the better teams in the East on a long 14-day, 8-game road trip, and you got to hurry up and get this one over with because you got to play tomorrow night in Detroit. So, Laker fans, you want to jump in tonight? Here's the phone number, 877-710-ESPN, 877-710-3776. Glad to be with everybody tonight. I will tell you, though, I'm going to turn my attentions rather quickly from the Lakers to the Rams, and it's not because the Rams themselves are the story. It's the story of the general manager who drafted the quarterback, the general manager and coach who decided to give the quarterback this $100+ million contract long before they needed to, the general manager and the coach that decided this is our guy long term, who've now changed their minds. And by the way, not exactly being bashful about it. So I want to get into what happened with Les Snead, his press conference, the interview he gave yesterday here on Sedano and LZ on 710. That is absolutely top of mind tonight. So I'm going to get to that coming up in just a matter of moments. I do want to remind everybody, and I told you this right from the beginning of the new year, as we're working our way through the first month of it, working our way through January, when we come on the radio and you get in your car and you turn on 710 and it's easy, or you get back in your car and your radio's already on 710 because you were listening to the Laker game, or earlier in the day you had on Mason and Ireland, or whatever the situation was, you get into your car, you turn on 710, it's easy, right? I mean, it's old school, it's easy, it's your car radio, it's the absolute easiest way to go. But for all of you guys that like hanging out with me in my house on a Wednesday night, look, I mean, people tell me, they're like, yo, man, your house looks really cool. Like, is that a real brick wall in the background? I'm like, you'll have to come knock on it yourself and feel it for yourself, man. But if you want to get involved tonight in not just the radio show, but there's a lot of other shows going on. We are streaming live on YouTube. There is a live chat going on in YouTube. Guess what? I'm sitting here by myself in YouTube right now. Come join me on the 710 ESPN YouTube channel. If you're a gamer and you're watching on Twitch tonight, that's awesome. I know we got a great audience on Twitch. So if you're on Twitch and you want to get involved, go for it. So YouTube and Twitch, we're streaming live on Twitter at ESPN Los Angeles, and you can also find the live video stream on Facebook at ESPN Los Angeles. So we're everywhere. Wherever you are, that's where we are. No longer do I just have this expectation that you're going to get in your car and you're going to come to me. You're going to get out of your car and I'm going to go to you. You understand what I'm saying? Okay, beautiful. Scott Kaplan tonight on 710 ESPN. And like I said, I'm jumping right into this story about the Rams and Jared Goff. And I'll start off with, here's my opinion. This relationship is over. The relationship between the Rams and Jared Goff is over. Now, Jared Goff, be back in a Rams uniform next year, but it's going to be awfully hard to repair what's happened here. A number of times this season, Sean McVay voiced his displeasure with his quarterback's play in post-game press conferences, and I'll play it for you before I bring on my first guest tonight. Les Snead yesterday. Curtis, if you could, I want everybody to hear Les Snead, who not practically, he did. He pretty much quoted Aaron Rodgers and what Rodgers said about his future in Green Bay, which led a lot of people to start putting two and two together. Are the Rams going to try somehow to get Aaron Rodgers from the Packers and try and pull off a Tom Brady Buccaneer kind of thing? Here's what Les Snead said that started all of this.
Given your uncertainty today, you could end all this. You're setting yourself up for a whole summer of questions about Jared. You can end it right now by saying he's the quarterback of the future for this team. So, you realize what you're setting yourself up for here.
Well, but in this job, right, you're always going to get questions. So I think that
I'm giving you a chance. I'm giving you one more chance to say he's your quarterback.
Oh, Jared Goff's he's a Ram right now. So what's the date? Look at let's see, January 26th. That's a fact. That's obvious. He's right. He's number 2 in wins. Him and Sean have partnered together. Tom Brady's got more, and the things Tom Brady's doing, I don't even know if I can put that in words. That's been a heck of a partnership. What I do know is, and I think that the real thing that should come out of this is, hey, we want to be a better offense.
Yeah. There's more to it. Let me tell you something. There's a lot more to it. That was the very end of it, where Bill Plaschke from the LA Times, you see him on Around the Horn. Bill Plaschke was saying, dude, by doing this to yourself, you've just created a storm. You could very easily say to everybody, Jared Goff's our quarterback. And then later on, if something happens, or if you decide to bring somebody in to compete, which is a popular opinion, you deal with it later on. But it seems to me that what Les Snead has done is this. And by the way, I actually have some respect for this. I like this at a Les Snead. You drafted the guy. You cultivated the guy. You've won a lot of games. You've been to a Super Bowl. You've been to the playoffs 3 of the last 4 years. This is a guy who's got a winning record. You gave him a ton of money long before you needed to do that. You showed confidence in this guy. You thought he was your long-term answer. Well, guess what? You have changed your mind. And in the NFL, when a general manager changes his mind again about a player who's a number 1 overall pick and already has a $100 million contract, usually it means that it's the general manager who's going down. In this case, it's like general manager and coach teamed up and said, we don't like this guy anymore. Guess what? Let's not tie ourselves to him. Let's find a way to get out of this. One thing about the Rams, when it comes to money, it does not matter at all. And another thing about the Rams is you're looking at the Lakers with LeBron and AD and a championship. And you're looking at the Dodgers going out and improving by getting Mookie and giving them the big money. You're in a town of championships and superstar expectations. And the Rams, it looks to me like they're talking about wanting to go out and find a superstar quarterback, which they just don't have. They have a winning quarterback, but not a superstar quarterback. I believe the relationship is over between the Rams and Jared Goff. Here to discuss, my friend Ryan Dyrud is here. He runs the LA Football Network. You can find him on the internet at LAFB, LA Football Network, LAFB Network. And let me jump right into it. Ryan, good evening, man. What's up?
Scott, what's up, man? Thanks for having me on. Excited to get into this because it's certainly going to keep us busy all off-season long.
Well, look, Les Snead did have the chance. He really did not have to do this. It's pretty darn rare to see a general manager who's drafted a guy and who's paid a guy and who's won with a guy pretty much say, we're kind of done with this guy. What did you think?
Yeah, it was, you never really hear that. There's always that, the phrase, the GM speak or coaches speak where they're always kind of in the guy's corner or the player's corner, but you can kind of read between the tea leaves or between the lines what they're really saying. But he wasn't really reading between the lines. It was really almost awkward, that response, the way he fumbled over it. And, I watched the whole presser as well. And yeah, I agree with you, Scott. You hit the nail on the head. I think this relationship is definitely severed. I think they're putting the ball in Jared's court, whether he, what he does this offseason, what he can do to mend this relationship. It seems like Les and Sean are kind of saying, you know what, Jared, it's up to you if you want to improve, if you want to be better. Obviously, you're under contract, but we have plans of where this team's going, and you may not be in them. Now, I'm sure we'll get into it, Scott. I don't know how they can get past that, but it's certainly, I agree with you, the relationship is severely severed, and I don't know how they're going to fix it.
I can tell you, here's the end-all, be-all, okay? In the final analysis, if they've made up their mind, we cannot win with him. In fact, not only can we not win with him, he's gone as far as he can go, we don't even want him on the team anymore then, because we don't want any problems, we don't want any distractions. The end-all, be-all, dude, because they've lost all leverage in a trade. No one's going to want Jared Goff to be a starter. No one is going to want to pay him this money and take on this contract right now. And the Rams, they can't trade for anything because everybody in the league knows they don't want him anymore. So what I think is, ultimately, they may find themselves cutting him, and they may find themselves with a whole bunch of dead money on their salary cap. But the thing about it is, Ryan, more often than not, general managers who have players like this, they'll defend them because they know that they paid them and they got to answer to the owner, and they'll go down with the guy. I mean, they will go down on the ship, but I got to say, one thing I got to give Les Snead credit for is he's made a decision. He's not our guy anymore. We paid him, we drafted him, we're done with him. And I'm pretty darn surprised.
Yeah, I mean, obviously the ownership there and Kroenke, money is not really an issue, and he just wants to win. He built this beautiful stadium, and he wants his team to win. And, one thing you got to give Jared Goff credit for is, all the criticism and stuff he got, and, surgically repaired thumb, and still won a playoff game up in Seattle. So the dude can still play a little bit, can still win. The question and what you're saying, Scott, is does the team believe in him? Does the brass behind him believe in him? And they really have no bargaining chips. Like you said, they have no draft capital. They really have no cap room. They'd have to free up cap room just in order to trade him. They'd have to somehow free up cap room on their end. So that's not really an option. And I don't see a way they can do it. Now, cutting him is interesting because I think if they cut him this offseason, there's like $65 million in dead cap room, in dead cap space, excuse me. So I don't know if they can how they can work with that. I could see more maybe doing something, bringing in a really cheap veteran this offseason that I know he's not a guy that's going to be a world beater or the sexy, if you will, add-on, but someone that can compete with Goff. Best case scenario, he pushes Goff to be better. Worst case scenario, he comes in, can run McVay's system. They get like a mobile guy, and then next offseason cut because the dead money drops substantially more after that, and then they can live with cutting them and then moving on and going in a different direction. But their hands are pretty tied this offseason. I don't really know where they go, but I don't know if it is Goff starting. But I also don't know if they're able to trade him.
Talking to Ryan Dyrud tonight. Ryan is a pal of mine who is the founder and the CEO of the LA Football Network, LAFBnetwork.com. If it's got anything to do with football in Los Angeles, this is the go-to guy and this is the go-to website. You know what I'm interested in, though, Ryan? If they find a new quarterback who's not Jared Goff, now you know who the pressure's on? For me, it's Sean McVay. Because for whatever reason, Sean McVay receives zero criticism. Everybody piles on Goff, including now the organization, but no one ever criticizes McVay. And it's interesting how the rest of the NFL is in love with him because every year his assistant coaches get picked off and become head coaches, even when they don't even shave and they haven't been bar mitzvahed yet. I mean, these guys are so young, and every year they get picked off. The league loves him. The media loves him, and there's no criticism. So for everybody that tells me about how innovative he is and how smart he is and what a great play caller he is, okay, you say the quarterback's no good. He's going to get another quarterback, and we're going to see what it looks like. And then if it doesn't work, and if it doesn't become, back to the Super Bowl, then people are going to start looking at the head coach at that point.
Yeah, well, and I'm not doing this to pat myself on the back, Scott, but I've been one of the few that have been critical of Sean McVay this year because I really have not liked a lot of his play calling. I can refer through games. I won't bore you and your listeners with that, but, just specifically looking at the Miami game when they're winning most of the game, Tua Tagovailoa is really doing nothing in his debut. The defense is shutting him down, and yet he drops Goff back 50 times in that game when they're winning. Like, just run the football. There's simple things you can do. They're doing cover zero, sending extra blitzers, and instead of keeping a running back, they're doing empty sets. So a lot of things that I thought McVay put his quarterback in a position to be unsuccessful, especially when you know what Jared Goff is capable of. Like, none of this is new. His 2018 campaign, which was very successful, some would say MVP caliber, but a lot of that rode on, having a Brandon Cooks deep threat, having Todd Gurley, who was having an out-of-world season, back-to-back years, 2017, 2018, and then Goff was very good as well, but he wasn't this, guy that came out of nowhere. It was just he was doing what he was doing well, and the system fit him, and then now they're asking him to do more of what he's not capable of doing. And so I think it's got a lot of it goes on McVay, I think, and if they are to move on, we're going to really see, because obviously when McVay came in, Goff was already drafted, right? He was coming into his second year. And so we'll see if McVay gets a guy that he wants, if he can really improve the offense, or if there's not enough criticism going around and it's all just falling on Goff, who maybe unfairly, and I'm not saying Goff doesn't deserve some of it, but I think a lot of the play calling was a little suspect in some of those games when you have three running backs who are very capable. They had an offensive line to finish third in the National Football League, according to Pro Football Focus. Like, why not put more of the onus on that instead of asking your quarterback to drop back 50 times when we know that's not really what he's made to do?
Yeah. How about a couple other things? Like, stop rolling Goff to his left. He's not Patrick Mahomes. Here's another thing. Stop with quarterback sneaks. He doesn't like to run or get hit. Here's another thought. When you're down along the goal line and it's 1st and goal from the 1, you must score a touchdown. And how about a little bit of that innovation that I keep hearing about? Because I didn't see anything down there except run, 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 run. 4 straight run plays against Seattle, and they never get in. I think that Sean McVay, like any coach in the NFL, is not above criticism. But he's young, he's good looking, he's got a girlfriend who's an Instagram influencer. He makes appearances on like really cool reality real estate cable TV shows. He's a very, very likable Hollywood kind of guy. And for some reason, the media in LA has decided that he's hands off, but Jared Goff is pile on. And the organization did not help matters, because you heard that exchange between Bill Plaschke and Les Snead, where Plaschke's like, dude, I'm giving you a shot here. You don't have to do this right now. No, we're just he's a Ram today. Yeah, what's today's date? Okay, as of today, he's a Ram. I mean, these guys, again, Ryan, I really think that more often than not, GMs will go down on the ship because they drafted a guy or they gave him too much money too soon, and it's on them. I give it up to the Rams. They're not messing around. If they don't want him, they'll find a way to get rid of him or find a way to replace him with something better. I can't believe that John Wolford is going to be their quarterback next year.
Yeah, no, and I mean, if there's anyone that can work some magic, it is Les Snead. We've seen what he's done in off seasons, but this is one, Scott, I don't know how they are able to do something. Just looking at, I've seen scenarios when you really go on paper, but you got to realize too, and you mentioned it, before you even brought me on, that, every team knows that the Rams now, because of what Les Snead said, the Rams don't want him. So now they have zero bargaining chip, and we know Goff can't play in cold weather, so that counts out a lot of, there's not going to be a Goff or Rodgers trade. He can't play in Green Bay 8 games. He's not going to go to the Washington football team. He can't play in the cold there. Not going to go to Chicago. Can't play in the cold there. So you really are whittling down to teams that he can even go play for, where teams like, yeah, this is a guy that can suit up for us 14 games of the year once it gets cold. So they kind of played their hand poorly, and I think Les Snead is a guy that has worked a lot of magic, but this is one that they're going to have to just kind of die on the sword, and whether they go after a Tyrod Taylor, a Jacoby Brissett, who would be a cheap free agent option that they can at least have a camp battle with, and then roll with Goff for one of those guys, because I don't really know what their other options are.
Yeah, we're going to see how this all plays out. But man, I'm telling you, to see a general manager air out a quarterback that's been to the playoffs 3 of the last 4 years and been to a Super Bowl and is really at the exact same spot in his career that the head coach is in, I was really surprised by it, but I find it very entertaining. And they say that the insiders say that this NFL offseason is going to be the craziest ever with quarterback movement. And who knows, maybe Jared Goff is a part of that. How about trade Jared Goff to the New York Jets and bring Sam Darnold back to L.A. and put him in a Rams uniform and let the Jets deal with whatever they got to deal with. You know, maybe he becomes a backup. Maybe he's a guy who can start while they're grooming a younger guy. I don't know, but I would love to see at this point where the Rams are going to go, because as far as I'm concerned, Rams and Goff are probably done. Ryan, great to talk to you tonight, man. Thanks for staying up late. Appreciate you, pal.
Scott, always a pleasure. It's great being on always, so thanks for having me, man. It's always fun.
Yeah, I'm going to tell everybody to get to your place, man. LAFBnetwork.com, LA Football, LAFBnetwork.com. If it happens in football in LA, Ryan and his team at LA Football Network are covering it. Okay, coming up, I will say this. I'm open tonight, man. You want to jump in, go for it. 877-710-ESPN, 877-710-3776. Here's my poll question tonight, and I've posted it on Twitter for you. Is the Jared Goff era of Rams football officially over? I want you to hear a little more of what Les Snead said, which certainly makes me think that the era is over. And I also want to get back to the Lakers. In fact, Eric Williams from Sports Illustrated will be here a little bit later on tonight to talk about what happened with the Lakers and the Sixers. And I'm wide open. Like I said, you want to get in tonight. Tonight's a great night to get on the phones. If you got something great to say, a strong opinion, you're going to contribute, go for it. 877-710-ESPN. This is Scott Kaplan on 710 ESPN.
ESPN is giving away cash
Again.
You have just won $1,000.
Way to go, Gil!
No way. Oh, awesome.
Anushka from Cyprus. Anushka,
Did I really win?
You really won, man.
you have won $1,000 cash.
That's crazy.
It's the Mission 18 cash giveaway
Your chance at $180 a day.
and the grand prize of $1,800.
It's Mission 18, Los Angeles.
All you have to do is text the word mission to 40705 right now to get your name qualified.
Beginning Tuesday afternoon with Sedano and LZ, we start calling out names, and it could be yours that wins cash.
Giving away cash for 18 straight days.
The Mission 18 cash giveaway from LA's Mega Cash Sports Station.
710 ESPN.
Hey, Laker fans, it's Travis. Don't forget, tomorrow morning, bright and early, starting at 5 a.m., we're going to break down everything from the Lakers game. We're going to tell you who played well, what went right, all of it starting at 5 o'clock right here on 710 ESPN. Get up.
ESPN, taken to the airwaves, and also to the video streaming platforms. So if you're tuning in tonight on 710, anywhere throughout Southern California, home base Los Angeles, awesome. Glad to have you along. If you are watching right now on YouTube or on Twitch or Facebook or Twitter, we've got a live video stream going. So if you're getting out of your car when you get home, use the ESPN app or come find us. It's just me and you, man. I mean, I'm hanging out in my house because that's still the way it's going down here in 2021. Although things seem to be loosening up. We don't have to get into political opinions about why and timing and forget about all that, but things are loosening up. I mean, the restaurants are going to start opening and salons are opening, and things are definitely changing. In fact, last week, for those of you that were with us, we were talking to the head football coach from Bosco, which is, one of the top high school football programs in the country right here in Southern California. And we were talking about how all these high school football coaches and parents and players and cheerleaders and high school athletes were banding together to try and get a meeting with Governor Newsom, and I'm starting to see that also is people are starting to talk about the potential return for high school sports and youth sports. And all of this happens, and yet everything I read about is still the massive numbers and ICU beds. And so it's crazy times. I mean, you talk about crazy times. How about today? And I may get a chance to talk about this a little bit later on. I spent hours earlier today watching something that was happening in the financial world with GameStop. Do you guys know GameStop, the video game store? Like when my kids were little, I used to go to GameStop. We'd buy FIFA or Madden or The Show, any of the sports games. I'm not into the violence games. I didn't want, Grand Theft Auto but eventually the video games turned into Fortnite, Even my daughters were playing Fortnite. I'm like, what is going on here? And they're shooting at things. And I lost total control. Bad parent. I got it. Okay. So you used to go to GameStop. You used to walk into a brick and mortar store, buy a video game, walk out, use it, and then if you wanted to get the newer version the following year, you'd walk right back into that video game store, GameStop, and you'd sell it to them, and they'd rip you off. You bought it for $70 the year before. They gave you $3 for it. You walk back in next time, it was on the shelf for $30. They'll sell it to somebody. That's their business. It's cool. But today and over the last couple days, what's been happening, how this company whose stock price was at like $4, and then it shot up to like $250, $300, $350, $370. Like, why? What happened? Who's going to buy these games? I thought now you download the games. Who's buying these things? But what happened earlier today, the way stock prices get manipulated, the way social media groups can pile on and manipulate things. I mean, I was just fascinated by all of this because I didn't even know this place still existed, GameStop. I missed the whole thing. I thought they were shut down. Existing. All right, well, Curtis, you're a gamer, okay? You tell me, when was the last time you used one of these places, and is it a good thing? Are they still a good store? I mean, for me, it's been years, dude.
GameStop has been on the decline for, I want to say, the last 5 years. Once the big superstores like Target had everything, they were already on the way out. They've been losing money for years, and they almost filed for bankruptcy last year. But their one hope was, all the new consoles are coming out. We're going to make some money. And then, COVID hit, and everyone's buying digital, and you can't even go into the store. So they're not going to be around much longer. But this stuff here on Reddit today was pretty interesting.
It was crazy because there's a guy in LA. I read about it today in the LA Times. There's a guy in LA who's a very famous guy who shorts stocks, and the way that it's all being described is it was a short squeeze. It was a way of saying, hey, a huge group of people, we're all going to buy the stock, and that's going to make the guy who shorted the stock, who's betting on it to go down, it's all of a sudden going to go up, and we're going to squeeze this guy. But it's still the same company. It's the same company that had a $4 stock like 3 weeks ago. And from everybody I talked to today, they're like, yeah, garbage. I'm like, listen, I haven't been into one of these stores in years, but I didn't even know they still existed. But it was really a crazy day. So I love to get on the air tonight because when I'm on the air, I feel like, hey, my door is closed to my office. I got on the Golden State, Minnesota game in front of me, 92-72 Golden State. I got wrestling on over here because Curtis has been trying to get me into some AEW. Hey, what's going on this weekend in WWE? Because I'm trying to get back into it so that you and I have something to talk about, man.
I know the Royal Rumble's next weekend. That's Jesse and I have stopped watching WWE a while ago because we got kind of tired of everything. But Royal Rumble is one of those things where I will always tune in no matter what, because for me, that whole gimmick is pretty entertaining.
You watching AEW also? You watch this wrestling on TNT?
When I do watch wrestling, AEW's been that big time. It's pretty cool. I mean, your guy Dusty Rhodes, it's his son. His sons are running it, so it's a pretty interesting. It's run by the wrestlers instead of Vince McMahon, and it's pretty interesting.
You'll have to check me, but I'm almost sure I just saw Sting and Chris Jericho, and I said, "Is that Sting and Chris Jericho?" Because those guys are older than I am, and they're still wrestling.
Chris Jericho left right when they left, and he was the inaugural champ. Sting just showed up because Sting hasn't been on TNT in years, so it's pretty interesting over there. Pretty interesting over there in AEW.
All right. Well, listen, I'm just, here's what I'm telling you. It's a Wednesday night. We get on the air late after the Laker game, after the Laker post-game show, and we're wide open. So on a night like tonight, I got Eric Williams coming up in a few minutes. Eric Williams covers the Rams and the Lakers for Sports Illustrated, and I want to talk to him about both of these teams. The Rams situation is Les Snead essentially saying they're done with Jared Goff, which I'm going to play a little bit more for you here in a second. And the Lakers part of it is a 107-106 loss tonight in Philadelphia in a game where Philly really was in control of this game. Anthony Davis did not have a great game, even though you'll look in the box score and he scored 23 points. LeBron was kind of carrying everybody again with 34 points tonight. Dennis Schroeder did show up at times. I mean, there were moments in this game where it looked like Schroeder might be able to take it over. I mean, he does such a nice job of driving the lane and laying the ball up. I mean, he really does get through traffic, and he had 16 points tonight. But otherwise, it's LeBron carrying this team. And I know everybody says the most powerful duo in the league, and that might be true, but you're talking about one player. Make no mistake, it's LeBron's team. Without LeBron, they got no chance. Without Anthony Davis, they still got LeBron. That's the way I see it. People are talking about LeBron as an MVP this year. And I'm like, yeah, I said that at the beginning of the season. When everybody laughed at me and said, you haven't heard of load management. And I went, no, not really. And they're like, yeah, it's like a pitch count only for basketball. And I'm like, yeah, I still think LeBron's going to be the MVP. Nah, he's not going to play enough minutes. Well, he is. He's playing enough minutes. Played 39 of them tonight. Played more than anybody else on the Lakers. Seriously. And this was not really a game that the Lakers should have been in, but 4 or 5 minutes to go, doesn't look good. Lakers are down 10, 11. They went on a big run, and they came back. And then what a pass by LeBron to Anthony Davis for the Lakers to take the lead with about 11 seconds to go. And then Philadelphia brought the ball in, and Tobias Harris with a beautiful rainbow shot over Alex Caruso for the game winner, 107-106. Had the Lakers won, I mean, Philadelphia would not have heard. Sports radio tomorrow in Philadelphia would have gone crazy. You had the Lakers and the King beaten at home on national television, and you didn't get it done. As it turns out, they did get it done. But for Laker fans, I think it's more like, okay, this is a long road trip. I was hoping these guys would win every game on this road trip and come home 15-0, because 14 days on the road and 8 games versus coming home for, I want to say, like the next 10, 11, maybe 14 games, like 10 of them are at home. You'll have to go do your own research. I'm close. I'm telling you, somebody fact check me, but I'm pretty close. So Eric Williams will come up, and I want to talk to him about both the Lakers loss tonight and what the Rams did to themselves yesterday. When I say did to themselves, here's what I mean. Les Snead, the general manager of the Rams, could very easily have had a press conference and said, we don't know what we're doing yet. Jared Goff's under contract. He's our quarterback, and we'll evaluate, and we'll make a decision. Are we going to have an open competition between Jared Goff and John Wolford? Possible. Are we going to go out and find a veteran to back up and add competition? Certainly a possibility. Is Jared Goff 100% guaranteed to be on the roster and be the starter next year? It's the NFL. Of course not. Of course not. Tom Brady was guaranteed. Aaron Rodgers was guaranteed. Drew Brees was guaranteed. These guys weren't going anywhere. But Jared Goff, they could have said very easily, who knows what the future holds. But instead, if you can play this for us, Curtis and Steve, if you guys could play this, This is what Les Snead said yesterday that started the buzz. Here we go. Play it.
No, I understand that, but just is there a scenario where you guys would trade or cut Jared Goff?
Again, not going to get into specifics on those. That's that beautiful mystery of the future, but what I can say is once we're refreshed and emotions removed, we'll sit down and try to figure out, especially on the offensive side of the ball. I know Sean definitely wants to make sure we get back to maybe being more explosive, scoring more points, not turning the ball over as much. But now the vision, the goal is to look at the model, see if there's some tweaks to be made to make sure we get back to who we want to be and advance to those next 2 games.
A beautiful mystery.
The beautiful mystery is right. The issue is that when someone asked Aaron Rodgers after the game where the Packers lost to the Buccaneers, say, Aaron, what's the future, man? I mean, they drafted a quarterback in the first round last year. They moved up to get him. They didn't go into the first round last year and get you anything to help. They got you your replacement. What's the future? And Aaron Rodgers said something to the effect of, the future here in Green Bay is a beautiful mystery. And once Les Snead used the same phrase, and Adam Schefter had I don't want to call it a report. It was an opinion, but when you're a reporter who's got like 8 million Twitter followers and you've got all that FaceTime on ESPN, when you say that it's possible that the Rams might look to try and acquire an Aaron Rodgers, that just starts the buzz. And then Les Snead could have put an end to it. He could have doused the flames. But you know what he did? He fueled the flames. He put gas on the fire. He didn't put water on the fire. And so let me talk to my man, Eric Williams. Eric covers the Rams for Sports Illustrated. He also covers the Lakers now for Sports Illustrated. I want to talk about both of these teams. My man, Eric Williams, coming up next. It's Scott Kaplan on 710 ESPN.
He has returned. Max. .710 ESPN is giving away cash
Again.
You have just won $1,000.
Way to go, Gil! No way. Oh, awesome.
Anushka from Cyprus. Anushka,
Did I really win?
You really won, man.
you have won
Holy
$1,000
smokes.
cash.
That's crazy.
It's the Mission 18 cash giveaway
Your chance at $180 a day.
and the grand prize of $1,800.
It's Mission 18, Los Angeles.
All you have to do is text the word mission to 40705 right now to get your name qualified.
Beginning Tuesday afternoon with Sedano and LZ, we start calling out names, and it could be yours that wins cash.
Giving away cash for 18 straight days.
The Mission 18 cash giveaway from LA's Mega Cash Sports Station.
710 ESPN.
Hey, it's Keyshawn.
Ready?
LA's mega sports lineup.
Are you ready?
On LA's mega sports station.
Start your day with me, Keyshawn, 5 a.m. to 9 a.m. Keyshawn, Jay Will, Zubin, and Travis Rogers. Here with you each weekday morning. Mike Greenberg, Greeny is back on your radio from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. At 11, you loved him for years on 710. Max is back. Max Kellerman for your lunch hour. And at 1 p.m., my guys Mason and Ireland are back in middays until 4 p.m.
How about a little afternoon flavor with George Sedano and LZ Granderson?
Sedano and LZ until 7. And the LA Sports Talk Now don't stop until 10 p.m. each weeknight. Scott Kaplan holds it down at night.
The all-new 710.
Don't get it twisted, homeboy. The best sports talk in LA on 710 ESPN.
On 710 ESPN.
air for the full 3 hours from 7 p.m. to 10 p.m. So unless you're like making dinner reservations because you're like, I haven't been to a restaurant in a year, hang out with us for the rest of the week here at night, and especially on Friday night, 7 p.m. to 10 p.m. Hey, not only are we on the radio tonight on the airwaves of 710, but we are streaming on YouTube, and we're streaming on Facebook, on Twitter, and even on Twitch. And our live stream is presented by Puente Hills Toyota, the house of yes. So listen, let me turn my attentions to Eric Williams, who's a regular around here. Eric is a long-time reporter with ESPN and now with Sports Illustrated. He covers the Rams, and he just added the Lakers to his repertoire. So I want to talk about both of these teams. Eric Williams staying up late tonight on Scott Kaplan on 710. Good evening, E. How are you, man?
Good. How you doing, Scott? Thanks for having me, Mel.
Yeah, appreciate it. I know I was like, man, I'm inviting Eric, but I'm sure you got to file a story when the Lakers-Sixers game is over. I'm like, man, I don't know if you're gonna have time for me tonight. How'd it go?
It went good, man. It was a great game to watch. I don't know, how much of it you were able to catch, but Lakers were down by as much as 14 and fought back, got into it, actually took the lead late on an Anthony Davis lay-in, and then Tobias Harris came down and put an end to it. For the Sixers, gave the victory to the mid-range jumper. But the fact that they were able to work themselves back into it when they weren't playing their best, again, I think kind of speaks well for where this team is at. They just have to get a little bit more from their complementary players. They only had 4 players, I believe, in double figures in this game. It can't be all LeBron and Anthony. KCP's got to take more shots. I think he only took 3 shots the entire game. He's a shooting guard. Shooting guard's got to shoot. So I think he needs to be a little bit more aggressive offensively.
Yeah, I watched all this game, although I will tell you how I watched it tonight, Eric. I mean, unlike you, who's probably sitting there, writing your report on the game, I was on my Peloton tonight with Kendall Toole. Kendall Toole is this really, really great spin instructor. She was a USC cheerleader. She's smoking hot. She's very motivational. Her music's awesome. And then I took my phone, and I had the Spectrum app on my phone, so I was watching on my phone while I was working out with Kendall Toole. Can you feel me?
You're multitasking, huh?
That's what I was doing, man, in a big way. I really was. But it's one of these games, though, Eric, where, you never really felt like the Lakers were going to win. And then with about 4 or 5 minutes to go, you felt like Philadelphia had this thing pretty much under control. There was a big run late. And to your point, somehow with about 30 seconds to go, LeBron with a beautiful pass to AD, and the Lakers took the lead. And you went, whoa, are they about to steal this game? And then, to your point, Tobias Harris hits that rainbow shot to win it. But the Lakers even clawing their way back in, I was surprised because I knew it was going to take a lot of energy for them to do it. And I knew that there were two stops on this road trip, Philly and Boston. They're both nationally televised games with teams from the East that think they're real championship contenders. These were going to be the 2 speed bumps along the way.
Yeah, they were going to be 2 measuring sticks, obviously, on this 7-game road trip, just based on where both those teams sit in the standings. And like you said, expectations for both those teams having a chance to win it in the East. And, a 7-game road trip, they've already won 3 of those games. They play Philadelphia close, and now they're going to go, I believe, to Boston tomorrow. So back-to-back, it'll be interesting to see what their energy level is going to be. Excuse me, they don't go to Boston. They Boston Saturday, right?
Yep, Detroit tomorrow, yeah.
Detroit tomorrow. So, see what their energy is like tomorrow, and then Boston over the weekend. And then I believe they finish off in Atlanta and then come back. So I think overall, if you're able to already win 3, and if you can get a couple more victories before you come back home, obviously I think that's a successful road trip.
Yeah, I had to look it up too, man, because it's day by day for me. I can't even look into the future. It's just day by day on this kind of a road trip. Eric Williams is here. He works for Sports Illustrated. He covers the Lakers and the Rams. Let me move over to the Rams, Eric. I can't wait to hear what you have to say about this. What was your first impression when you heard Les Snead essentially quote Aaron Rodgers about the beautiful mystery, the future? It made people right away say, okay, Jared Goff is done with the Rams. What was your impression?
Yeah, I don't think necessarily that he was done with the Rams. I just think they're keeping their options open. Obviously, they weren't happy with how Jared played, so they've been very non-committal. They won't say for certain if he's going to be the starting quarterback and for the upcoming season. So I think part of it is they want to motivate Jared to work even harder during the offseason so he's better next year. And then I think the other part is they want to see what else is out there. Is there a possibility that they could potentially move him? Although I think it would be, difficult. Although, Les said it's not impossible that they could figure it out because it's a cap-driven league. Obviously, they still owe him, over $43 million in guaranteed money over the next 2 years. So you got to pay him. If you're going to pay him, I would think that you'd want to keep him and not pay him to be somewhere else. If you're going to move him, how's that going to work? What are you going to get in return? Who's going to want to trade for him? I just think there's a lot out there that still has to happen, and I just think they're kind of setting the table for that process to start.
Eric, if Jared Goff were going to play for somebody else next year, just take a prediction here. Is he a starter on somebody else's team?
Yeah, I think so. I think he's still one of the best 32 quarterbacks in the league. I still think he has talent. In the right system, I believe he could be successful. He's been successful with the Rams. So, yeah, he could be starting the league. It would depend on, what the system's going to be. Does the head coach believe in him? What are the playmakers around him? I think that's probably even more important. And is he protected? Is he going to have an offensive line that's going to keep him clean so he feels comfortable so he can get through all of his reads and those kind of things. So I do expect that he will be starting somewhere if it's not with the Rams. But I ultimately believe that, it will be with the Rams just because of the contract.
All right, Eric, I'm going to throw an idea at you here. Eric Williams from Sports Illustrated is here tonight on Scott Kaplan on 710 ESPN. We started off talking Lakers and their loss against the Sixers, but we've moved on now to the Rams and the Goff situation. Here's a concept. You ready?
Mm-hmm.
What if the Rams could work a deal with the Indianapolis Colts? The Colts went from Peyton Manning into Andrew Luck. They kind of were lost at the position for a year, let's just say. Then they went to Phillip Rivers. They've got a really good offensive line that protected a guy like Rivers, who's less athletic than even Goff. And Goff is still a very young player whose contract looks bad now because the Rams are saying what they're saying about him, but it's just kind of a standard NFL quarterbacking contract. I mean, that's what quarterbacks get paid in the NFL.
You're right.
So if you could somehow talk the Colts into taking on this contract, as far as trade value, I don't think he has very much because everybody knows that, the way the Rams feel about him, but he's still a young quarterback, and if you're Indianapolis, maybe he could be your 5-year answer rather than doing this, 1 year with a veteran guy.
Right, and it doesn't even have to be a 5-year answer because, like you said, he's only guaranteed the last 2 years of his deal. So essentially, he's a stopgap until you figure out what you want to do long term at the position. Potentially, he could be the long term guy, but if it doesn't work after a year or two, you can move on. Now, I guess if you're Indy, you have to think: would you rather take on Goff, or would you rather take on somebody like Carson Wentz if Philly decides that they want to move on from Carson? I just think the most interesting thing is I don't know if there's been this much uncertainty at a lot of different teams in terms of the quarterback spot for a while. When you look at the NFL and obviously what Aaron Rodgers said after, they lost to the Bucs. I don't think Aaron Rodgers is going anywhere, but, it did leave it a little bit open in terms of whether or not, he wants to be there long term. Washington's going to be looking for a quarterback. Potentially Miami might be looking for a quarterback because it didn't seem like they were totally happy with Tua. New England, Houston with Deshaun and what's happening there. There's a lot of volatility and uncertainty with the quarterback position. And I think, again, when you look at what Les Snead and Sean McVay are doing, I think it makes a lot of sense because they realize that there could be a lot of turnover. So why not, again, leave their options open to see if they can move.
Yeah, I can't. This offseason is supposed to be, at least according to all the insiders, like the craziest offseason upcoming in the NFL. Because like the NBA, when the signing season opens and guys are moving all over the place, this year that's supposed to be the way it's going to be with quarterbacks. And this could be a crazy offseason. Listen, you mentioned some interesting teams there. Look, I mentioned Indy. You brought up New England, maybe Washington, maybe long shot Miami. Listen, if I were Les Snead, I'd call the Packers and say, look, Aaron Rodgers' contract is this for the next 2 years. Jared Goff's is this for the next 2 years. You've already drafted your quarterback of the future. If he's not ready, Goff's ready to play. If your quarterback of the future he's on a rookie contract. So, you're just switching Goff for Rodgers. Maybe there is a way for the Rams to get an Aaron Rodgers and create a Tom Brady to the Bucs type of situation with Sean McVay. Is that possible? Maybe.
I have a feeling that would be a short conversation, Scott. Now, I know.
You don't think the Packers want Jared Goff?
I don't think they want Jared Goff, no. I think they would rather have Aaron Rodgers over Goff. And playing in Green Bay where it's a little bit cold, too. I know Aaron Rodgers, I believe he just bought a home in Malibu, which is close to the Rams facility in Thousand Oaks. But I just think that's kind of fantasy with him, going to the Rams. I think it probably makes more sense for him to go to the Niners with what's happening with their quarterback situation. But again, I don't think Green Bay is going to move on from Aaron. I think he means too much to that organization, and he's still playing really well.
Eric, it snows in Malibu now. I mean, Aaron Rodgers will be right at home, dude.
They got the fake snow?
Hey, listen, I appreciate you being available tonight. I know you had a lot of work to do around this Laker game, and this loss to the Sixers, this 1-point loss, and the Rams are making it interesting. Even though the Super Bowl hasn't been played, we haven't really moved into the offseason. The Rams are at least keeping it entertaining for us. Eric, great to talk to you tonight. Appreciate you, man.
Great to talk to you, Scott. And I got the Chiefs in the Super Bowl if I don't get a chance to get on with you again.
Well, we can definitely talk next week for sure. But wait a second before you go. So you feel that strongly about it right away?
Yeah, right away. I'm taking Patrick Mahomes.
I just don't know how you bet against Brady. I mean, think about what Brady did this year. Forget about just first year in Tampa. He had to go through Breeze and Rodgers on the road in his first year with a new franchise that has always been garbage. I mean, come on, Brady. Who else could possibly have done this?
Mahomes.
Oh, him. Okay, gotcha. I can't wait for the Super Bowl. We got such a great matchup. It's the old guy, the GOAT, against the young guy who's the best. You get the greatest of all time at quarterback against maybe the best guy we've ever seen play the position. I'm looking forward to this Super Bowl.
Yeah, me too. It's the matchup I wanted to see, and I can't wait to watch it. I think it's going to be entertaining.
Yeah, me too. Eric, I'll talk to you soon, man. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Scott. Appreciate it.
Eric Williams, Sports Illustrated. I appreciate you, man. Thank you so much. Hey, not only are we on the radio tonight on 710, but we're streaming live on Facebook, on Twitter, on Twitch, and on YouTube. And our live stream is being brought to you by Puente Hills Toyota. Puente Hills Toyota is the house of yes. All right, listen. Thank that is right. You got that right. Bank that. Coming up, you want to jump in tonight, now would be a great time. 877-710-ESPN, 877-710-3776. I want to caution everybody, though. I put out a tweet earlier tonight, and I hashtagged Philly. So it will not surprise me if all of a sudden we start to get some calls from Philadelphia tonight where Sixer fans maybe want to brag a little bit about the way their Sixers closed on the Lakers when the Lakers really didn't seem like they were in this game. And it kind of felt like, okay, look, we're on the road. It's a long trip. We'll let this one go. And they just exerted a ton of energy at the end to get it close and then take a lead. And then they gave that up, obviously, at the last second. But I'm putting the number out, and I'm inviting the Philly fans to jump in. 877-710-ESPN, 877-710-3776. Coming up on your calls. And I got a lot of things I'd like to get to. I have not talked about the Tiger Woods documentary. Hey, I spent 4.5 hours in one sitting watching the documentary. I got to at least talk about it. Stick around. It's Scott Kaplan on 710 ESPN.
.710 ESPN is giving away cash
again.
You have just won $1,000.
Way to go, Gil!
No way. Oh, awesome.
Anushka from Cyprus. Anushka.
Did I really win?
You really won, man.
You have won
$1,000.
$1,000 cash.
That's crazy.
It's It's the Mission 18 cash giveaway.
Your chance at $180 a day.
And the grand prize of $1,800.
It's Mission 18, Los Angeles.
All you have to do is text the word mission to 40705 right now to get your name qualified.
Beginning Tuesday afternoon with Sedano and LZ, we start calling out names, and it could be yours that wins cash.
Giving away cash for 18 straight days.
The Mission 18 cash giveaway from LA's Mega Cash Sports Station.
710 ESPN.
Hey, Laker fans, it's Travis. Don't forget, tomorrow morning, bright and early, starting at 5 a.m., we're going to break down everything from the Lakers game. We're going to tell you who played well, what went right, all of it starting at 5 o'clock right here on 710 ESPN. Get up.
On 710 ESPN, I mentioned before the break, I really would like to talk about the Tiger Woods documentary that's happening right now on HBO. Has everybody seen this? I wouldn't think that you have. I see a lot of ads for it on Twitter and on Instagram, so I know that they're really hyping this thing up, and I really do want to talk about it because there are some things about Tiger Woods' life that I didn't know. I mean, a lot of the headline stuff we knew, but there are some things in the deeper part of Tiger Woods' childhood where you go, okay, so now I think I understand what he saw, what he was trying to figure out in his life, how it all manifested, how it turned from, the wealth and the fame into the crash and the humiliation. And I'm starting to try and understand now how this could have happened to him. And so I want to talk about this Tiger Woods documentary. I'll get to it. If I don't get to it tonight, we're back tomorrow night after the Lakers play Detroit, and I'll definitely get to it, so stick around. All right, let me grab a couple of calls here. If you want to jump in, tonight's an awesome night to get onto the airwaves. The Lakers lost by 1 in Philadelphia. The Rams have pretty much said that Jared Goff he's certainly not guaranteed their starting job, and who knows if he'll even be on this roster. I posted this earlier tonight. Is the Jared Goff era over in Rams football? And you can hit me up on Twitter. You can click on the link I send you and then come get involved in the sided debate, because the news will come to you on Twitter, but the real conversation, the deeper conversation about these issues happens on the app Sided. Okay, let me go to the phones. Here is Jacob in LA on Scott Kaplan on 710. What's up, Jacob?
Hey, Scott. Pleasure talking to you, man. Thanks.
Back at you, man.
So I'm just saying, as far as the Lakers go, consider this game one of the finals and the 7-game series. I think we come back and our shots fall and we watch some video, watch some tapes, and we beat them. So if anybody wants to brag, we played a formidable Sixers team, and I think we got in trouble. We slacked off a little bit, and we paid for it at the beginning of the game, at least.
Yeah, I mean, I think, LeBron talked about it after the game, about how many free throws Philadelphia shot in the first half. And, that's another just side note here. I said it the other night. I was like, it's really hard to kind of find things to criticize because of the way the Lakers had been playing, and LeBron had just scored 46 points. But one thing I got to say, 16 of 25 from the free throw line. Not that Philadelphia was much better because they were 16 of 26. But, man, 16 of 25. You left a lot of points out there at the free throw line, and you wound up losing a 1-point game. Jacob, thanks for the call, man. Appreciate you checking in. over to Manuel in Gardenia. What's up, Manuel? Welcome
Our
back,
guy.
man. How you doing, man? What's going on?
Cracking, Kaplan. Hey, more power to you, my man. I've been feeling it since you came on at 8:33 p.m. I like the timestamp that you gave us. Hey, I'm heavy-hearted still. A year after Kobe, the living legend, also lost a radio friend, Trapper in Dana Point.
That's right.
Guy's a legend as well. So it's kind of tough, especially with the rain and everything going on. Man, I'm not a big fan of the rain. So, R.I.P. Kobe, R.I.P. Trapper. As far as the Lakers, man, it's nothing, man. It's a game in January. The 76ers are a formidable foe. The guy said it best, it was a game that they'll be back, and we'll see if the 76ers can reach the finals. I definitely would buy in stock on the 76ers over the Nets. I think they're a sham. I think it's a circus. You might as well put them under the big top right now, Scotty Caps. Hey, and how's Kaplan's crew? How's your boys, man? I like that little GameStop info you were giving us earlier. I remember standing in that line for Madden many a night with my son, little Manny, man. So I like that, Cap. Keep up the
dude.
good work.
Appreciate you, man.
Órale.
Good. Hey, appreciate you, dude. Thanks for calling in. Manuel was talking about my daily podcast. By the way, you can see it on YouTube. If you go to Kaplan and Crew on YouTube, I do a podcast every day. It's a video podcast and an audio podcast, obviously. And I spent a lot of time today talking about this GameStop thing. I was just absolutely blown away and fascinated because if you're a sports fan and you had kids, or if you're a gamer and you played FIFA or Madden or any of the other sports games, the show, the MLB The Show, you've been to GameStop. I thought these places closed years ago, and what happened to their stock and how it all happened with a mob on Reddit, I was just absolutely fascinated by the whole story today. All right, I said, hey, man, I was putting it out there. Philly fans, you want to jump in. Here's Steve from Philly on Scott Kaplan on 710 ESPN. What's going on, Steve?
Hey, Scott, what's up, buddy? Thanks for being there always. You're the best. Really appreciate everything you do every day. You're the greatest at what you do.
Well, thanks, man. You're the greatest at what you do.
Well, check is on the way.
During these crazy times, we all need to be entertained, and there's nobody better than you, so thank you.
All right, my man. Appreciate that. What's going on tonight, man? What'd you think about your Sixers?
Let's talk Philly. We did everything we could to give that game away. 15-0 run to end the game. Never on the good side for Philadelphia. We can always find a way to lose and choke, and somehow, some way, Tobias Harris hit that beautiful shot, and we go on, and now all the ESPN, everything tomorrow is going to be, look at the Sixers, they're the best team in the league, because, the Lakers are the top of the mountain, but look at the matchup. You got Embiid against AD, you got Ben Simmons matching up perfect with LeBron up and down the court, and then it comes down to the rest of the guys, and Philly has a better overall team, so they're looking pretty good.
Oh, come on. Philly's got the better overall team, really? I mean, here's the thing. Tonight,
two All-Stars, yes, they do.
Tonight, when I saw Danny Green late in that game throw up an air ball, I was like, okay, see, that's when everybody talked about how the Lakers won the offseason and how the Lakers got better in the offseason because of what they brought on versus what they sent out. I looked at Danny Green and I went, that's exactly why you no longer wanted Danny Green on this team.
It's about Danny Green. I got 3 rings, okay? So, listen, I'm not saying Danny Green's one of those guys, but Ben Simmons played the best game he's ever played in his life, which is good because that was prime time. We needed his confidence. But, we struggled at the end, and somehow, 14-point lead turned into a 1-point deficit, but we held on. So, Embiid, let's just talk about LeBron pushing him. You haven't even gone there yet. That's like an unwritten rule in the NBA that you're not going to take an all-star and push him while he's in the air where he can break his wrist, break his back. Embiid went down. LeBron, shockingly, didn't even go over and give him a hand and say sorry or nothing. He added a little fuel to the fire with the Sixers-Lakers. I think they're still mad about the faux. back in '83. You know what I'm saying? LeBron's setting the tone. I think he knows that we're coming for him for the championship.
Yeah, you feel good? You feel good about your Sixers over Brooklyn?
I'm feeling good about it. Well, yeah, we got to get there, but once we're there, we match up real good with the Lakers.
All right, Steve in Philly tonight on Scott Kaplan on 710 ESPN. I'm glad you called in because being that you're from Philly, this has been an interesting week. Last night was the 1-year anniversary of Kobe. I don't know about everybody else, but I actually really took some time yesterday to kind of reset and think, Steve, about what the last year has been like. And from the day that of Kobe's, tragic death in Gigi, and then just how the world has changed through COVID and people's loss of jobs and businesses and lives and so on. And just here we are a year later, and it happened. It seemed fast, but it really, I was locked in my house for 90% of this thing. So yesterday was like a whole reset for me from the Kobe standpoint. What'd you think?
Well, I went to Lower Merion High School, so Kobe, that hits home, literally home for me. And I was invited to the night Kobe, he donated $500,000 to the Lower Merion High School, and the gymnasium's called Lower Merion Gymnasium now. The Kobe Bryant Gymnasium at Lower Merion High School. And I flew back for that event, and the next day they played the Sixers. And after the game, or actually pre-game, I was wearing a Sixers sweatshirt right next to Kobe. He wouldn't even look at me. I was like, Kobe, Lower Merion, that was awesome last night. You're the greatest. He didn't even blink or move his head slightly towards me. He was so laser focused on the game. And then I saw him after the game with the Four Seasons, and we talked for about 5 or 10 minutes. And I said, Kobe, I was right next to you on the bench, and you wouldn't even blink or turn to me or say anything. And he looked at me right in my face, and he said, I'm just locked in. And that's the way Kobe was. He's just all heart when it comes to basketball. Kobe Bryant, when he looked at me and said, I am locked in, this is a regular season game. He was flying in for a great event, and you would think, because he's at home, you look at me and say, yeah, give me a fist bump, something. But he was just so focused on the game that he was about to play. And ever since then, it gives me the chills just to talk about it now, because that's the way I felt. And we go way back, like I said, with friends, mutual friends, and we talked about deep relationships that we had with brother and sister. One was tragically injured. His sister was the greatest basketball player before Kobe got there, and her name's Carly Brown. And my friend Jimmy, her older brother, played with me for 4 years on the basketball team. And when Kobe looked at me, and he just said, man, I'm just locked in, and I said, that's why you're the greatest. Yeah. And that was my moment with Kobe. And, he's just the greatest hearted, the biggest heart when it comes to basketball of anybody that's ever played the game.
Yeah. Steve in Philly, thanks for checking in tonight. Appreciate the call, man.
Scotty, you're the greatest, buddy. Thank you.
Appreciate that. Yeah. And how about that? Steve in Philly feeling good about his Sixers. I mean, I got to disagree. I mean, come on. I mean, listen, it was a great night for Philadelphia because they won. They were on national TV playing against the champs. The king is in the house, and their guys showed up. Embiid had 28 points. Simmons had 17. Harris with the game-winning shot scored 24 points. I mean, this was their Super Bowl tonight. This was their chance to show the country what they're all about. And this is why I knew that the two nationally televised games against Philadelphia and against Boston, these were going to be the two toughest games for the Lakers to win on this long road trip through the East. So I disagree about the fact that, or about what Steven just said about how Philly's got the better roster after the two superstars. Don't agree. But that's his team. I did think it was really cool tonight the way these guys showed their tribute to Kobe. And Steve just mentioned Lower Merion High School, and they had a picture of Kobe wearing that jersey. And some of these guys, like Embiid, were wearing shoes that had Kobe's number on them. And I think I saw earlier tonight, Steph Curry had on some shoes that had a picture of Kobe and his daughter. So, tributes around the NBA. I don't know about the rest of you guys. Yesterday was like a whole reset for me. I really needed to slow down and think about some things yesterday. Whoa, it's been a year. Wow. It's not just been a year since he died, sad as that may be and as tragic as it was. It's been a year of the world has never known a year like the last 12 months. And things still keep getting stranger, even by the day. That's why I was talking about that GameStop thing earlier. All right, stick around. Some final thoughts on an abbreviated broadcast on the way next. This is the Scott Kaplan Show on 710 ESPN.
710 ESPN is giving away cash
again.
You have just won $1,000.
Way to go, Gil!
No way. Oh, awesome.
Anushka from Cyprus. Anushka,
Did I really win?
You really won, man.
you have won $1,000 cash.
That's crazy.
It's the Mission 18 cash giveaway
Your chance at $180 a day.
and the grand prize of $1,800.
It's Mission 18, Los Angeles.
All you have to do is text the word mission to 40705 right now to get your name qualified.
Beginning Tuesday afternoon with Sedano and LZ, we start calling out names, and it could be yours that wins cash.
Giving away cash for 18 straight days.
The Mission 18 cash giveaway from LA's Mega Cash Sports Station.
710 ESPN.
Hey, it's Keyshawn.
You ready?
LA's mega sports lineup.
Are you ready?
On LA's mega sports station.
Start your day with me, Keyshawn, 5 a.m. to 9 a.m. Keyshawn, Jay Will, Zubin, and Travis Rogers. Here with you each weekday morning. Mike Greenberg, Greeny is back on your radio from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. At 11, you loved him for years on 710. Max is back. Max Kellerman for your lunch hour. And at 1 p.m., my guys Mason and Ireland are back in middays until 4 p.m.
How about a little afternoon flavor with George Sedano and LZ Granderson?
Sedano and LZ until 7. And the LA Sports Talk Now don't stop until 10 p.m. each weeknight. Scott Kaplan holds it down at night.
The all-new 710.
Don't get it twisted, homeboy. The best sports talk in LA on 710 ESPN.
On 710 ESPN.
Hollywood night.
Yeah. Weather's been crazy the last 2 weeks. 2 weeks ago, it was full-blown summertime. And in the last couple of days, there's been times where I've been freezing, like bone-chilling cold freezing. And I got it. I'm a tropical brother. I get it. You know, I don't like cold weather. I don't like rain. I don't like cold. I could never survive in a place like Seattle. I'd be completely, utterly out of my mind every day with the gray and the rain and the wet. I will not be able to live back east anytime ever again in my life. So my days of New York or Pittsburgh, those days are long past. Even in Florida, I don't even know if I could handle Florida right now. Not that it's cold.
Hey man, we had 80-mile-an-hour gale winds last week in Ventura County.
Dude, I told you this was last night. Wasn't this last night?
Oh no, well, so last week we had like heavy wind, like people's shingles were getting blown off and all that, and then we're getting water this weekend. It's not a good combination, but it's it's definitely never happened over here at this time of the year.
Curtis Poindexter, Ventura County, Oxnard, 805 in the House representing. So it was Monday night, I think, of this past week when I had Spiro Ditas on. And Spiro was the former voice of the Lakers. He was telling some Kobe stories. And while he was on the air, the wind and the rain was howling. I was telling the story that I've got this big tree in my backyard, and it's got this massive, like, heavy-ass branch that was, flowing in the wind. And I'm looking at this thing going, this thing's going to break off. And when it does, it's going to come down right through the roof of my studio. And in the middle of the conversation, dude, I'm telling you, the wind was howling, the rain was coming. I'm like, oh, man, it's going to happen in the middle of it. You're all going to hear it. The nice part of it will be that we have this YouTube stream going. So when the big giant branch, 5,000 pounds, crashes through the roof of the house in the middle of the broadcast, likely going to see it all play out on the YouTube stream. Hey, Curtis, let me ask you a question. I last week was I was sold on this Tiger Woods documentary on HBO. My man Jason Lawhead, the comedian, who's like one of the smartest basketball talkers I know, he'll be in tomorrow night. Lawhead sold me last week on the Tiger Woods doc, and he sold me so that I literally watched it on Saturday, 4.5 hours in one sitting. Now, when I say sitting, just understand, I got this whole thing when I watch TV. I can't just sit and watch TV. It makes me crazy to sit and do nothing. I'm one of those antsy people who's always got to be in motion. So I worked out for like 3 hours of the 4.5 hours, okay? I was on an elliptical for 90 minutes. I was doing, weights. I was doing sit-ups. I was spending hours working out while watching this Tiger Woods thing. I'm still disgusting. I'm still fat, okay? I still eat cookies at night. I'm disgusting, okay?
Weird flex, but okay.
Yeah, it is weird because, like, I do a lot of working out, but, like, if you put in as much time working out as I did and you look like me, you'd say, why do I work out? Like, what's the sense?
It's better than not moving. It's better than staying sedentary no matter what, right?
So I watched this Tiger Woods documentary this weekend. Have you seen it yet?
No, it's on my list of things to watch on my jailbroken Fire Stick, though.
Okay, gotcha.
Probably this weekend.
Okay. Now, when you say your Fire Stick, that I understand. What's the first part of what you said?
It's a convoluted way of getting certain services without having to pay for it.
Oh, really? You got to be careful with that, man. They'll come get you.
VPN.
They will come get you. I've seen these VPN things on my phone. Somebody said, hey, you got to download this so that you can put in a fake address. I'm like, no, I can't do any of that. No good. I'll just pay for it. Forget it. I don't need the trouble, man. I don't want that smoke. You feel me? So I watched this Tiger Woods documentary this weekend. Let me tell you what's fascinating about it. Here's what you probably know about Tiger Woods. Okay, big picture. Young kid, golf protege, on like late night TV talk shows as a little kid. Practically his whole life is caught on video somehow. Like his entire life, there was a documentarian walking around with this kid. And he's little Tiger, and he's cute, and he's coming up, and he's a star, and he's like the number one athlete in Orange County when he's graduating high school. I think the year that Tiger Woods graduated high school, he and Tony Gonzalez were the co-athletes of the year in Orange County. So Tiger is going to be a star, and he's going to Stanford, and he's so great at Stanford. He's won, I think it was 2 or 3 U.S. amateur championships, and then it's time to turn pro. And Tiger turns pro. This is, call it probably like 96, 97, somewhere in that neighborhood. And obviously, again, big picture here, headlines, right? Tiger's a star. And Tiger has, wins all these tournaments, including the Masters in the early part of his career where he blows away the field. And Tiger is just rising to this superstardom of money and fame. And he's got famous friends. And, just life is perfect. Everybody would love to trade places with Tiger Woods. His father had groomed him, sold the world on Tiger Woods, that Tiger Woods will be more than just some great golfer. Tiger Woods will be like Mandela. He will be a life-altering force in the universe. It won't just be about golf. Golf will be the vehicle, but he's going to be so much bigger and so much more important to the world than just some great golfer. So Tiger's father... They called it like Frankenstein, he built him in the garage. We all know the Todd Marinovich story. This is the Todd Marinovich story, but you just didn't know it was the Todd Marinovich story. So here's what happens. Again, the highlights are, and the things you already know are, Tiger becomes a great golfer. Tiger is the greatest golfer of his generation. He's going to become the greatest golfer of all time. He's going to have more than anybody else, and along the way he's making bank. He's got $100 million worth of endorsement contracts. He's making a fortune while playing. Everything's great. And then Tiger gets married, and Tiger gets married because his image is just perfect, right? I mean, he's going to have he's young, he's married. This is the exact image that he wants to portray. And then here's where the story takes a twist. When his father dies, that's when Tiger starts reverting back to, what was my life like as a little kid? And here's something I had no idea. I had no idea about this at all. Tiger's dad used to take him to a naval golf course. I don't know where this was. I don't know if somewhere in Orange County. I have no idea where this was. Takes his kid to a naval golf course, pulls his Winnebago onto the golf course, Tiger is putting and practicing all day long, and Earl is giving golf lessons to a very specific demographic. You had to be smoking hot and blonde. Okay? As long as you were a smoking hot blonde, Earl was giving out golf lessons. And when the golf lessons were over, you know what happened? That's when the cocktails started getting poured inside the Winnebago. So while little Tiger's out there putting on the green, Earl is doing his thing in the van. So imagine the Winnebago shaking side to side and little Tiger's outside on the putting green. Like, this is no exaggeration. The guy who was the golf pro at this course is telling the story like, oh no, oh my God, he's not going to like this. And he actually says, the golf pro, he goes, I'm really sorry, champ. He tells the story that he and Earl were sleeping with these women in the Winnebago on the golf course, and they were terrible male role models for Tiger because they were being unfaithful to their wives right in front of this little kid. Judgment aside, it's just, this is what the story is. So then when Tiger's dad dies, Tiger starts going like a little nuts where you're rich and you're famous so you can get to the Navy SEALs and have them take you out on all these training missions and you can jump out of airplanes. You know, at one point he actually told his caddy, I'm going to quit playing golf and I'm going to join the Navy SEALs. Everybody's like, are you stupid? Like, are you dumb? Like, it's one thing to be fun and jump out of airplanes with these guys and shoot guns, okay? It's another thing to actually be on the battlefield. You're a $250 million a year golfer. Get back out there and golf. And so Tiger was trying to figure out, like, what did I not get about my father who was a Green Beret? I got to get into this mentality of a Navy SEAL, of a Green Beret. And then my father used to, put these women in this Winnebago while I was out practicing. So he had this like subconscious need to be powerful with women because he was Urkel at Stanford, and then he became Michael Jordan's right-hand man. He became cool. Jordan said to him at one point when Tiger said, well, how do I get girls? I don't get it. And Michael Jordan said, tell him you're Tiger Woods. Oh, it's that easy. I didn't realize that. And so Tiger learned the behavior that ultimately humiliated him. That was learned behavior that he got from his father. And, for me, as an observer, I was just blown away by the story. I didn't know any of this stuff. The documentary is really, really good. And if you've got like an extra 4.5 hours in your life where you've got nothing going on, I say take it down, man. Take down the whole thing. Recommended viewing. Who here is going to really put in 4.5 hours watching this documentary?
I will. I have nothing better to do.
I actually convinced my girlfriend to watch it with me. And a little bit into the second one, she's like, is this ever going to get juicy? I'm like, yeah, stick around, babe. It's chill. It's going to be great. You're going to see. He's going to sleep with the girl who's the hostess at the Perkins, the little diner. Then he's going to have porn stars, and then he's got this other girlfriend, and oh yeah, it's going to get juicy. She was already bored. I'm just telling you right now, this is a great documentary. You should check it out. Hey, listen, we're back tomorrow night for my girl Janice Garcia, who is running the entire video stream.
Huge shout out.
Yeah. My man Steve Paylette keeping us on the road all night tonight running this operation. And my man Curtis Poindexter, 805 in the house. For the entire crew here at 710, we're back tomorrow morning with Keyshawn, and we're back tomorrow night after the Laker game. For the entire team, it's Scott Kaplan wishing everybody a good night.